Here's a trick that I like to use to combine my mixer with my loop pedal. And the goal is to route all of the channels on the mixer through the loop pedal so that I can build up uh, a mix on the looper of many different instruments. And it just gives you a different way to do looping that's a little more free form and doesn't involve the various sequencers that I've got with my synthesizers and my drum machines. So the way this works is your mixer has to have a send and return, and that's usually used to add external effects to your mixer or to route the sounds of your mixer through external effects, but it works with the looper just as well. So you take the send from your mixer and you put it in the input of your looper, and then from the looper, the cable that comes out of the looper, then you could put it in the corresponding return for your send and return. But what I find works better is to actually take a cable from the output on the looper and give it its own dedicated channel on the mixer. And the reason I do that is because it gives me a fader for that looper, and then I can also EQ the looper if the mix that I'm building up on the looper needs some help EQ wise. So to show how this works, I'm going to be using my BeatStep Pro just because it's got a couple of different instruments that it's controlling, but I'm not going to be using the sequencer on the BeatStep Pro. I'm just going to use it because it's easy to flip between different instruments. So I've got a drum machine hooked up. I've got another synthesizer and yet another synthesizer. And I'm going to be operating the looper with my foot, but I'll be adding to my loop using the BeatStep Pro. And it goes kind of like this. Alright, so now I've got a drum loop in my looper, and I can control it with this fader. So this is kind of like the master mix for the looper. And then if I want to add a synthesizer to it, I can go ahead and do that. So now that's in my looper. And if I switch to my other synthesizer to fatten up that sound, I'm still recording on the looper, I can go ahead and do that. So now I've just mixed 3 different instruments that each had their own dedicated channel here, and routed it through the looper so that I could stack those up. And this also works really well with loopers that have undo and redo functionality, because if you are stacking up different instruments and you mess up, then undo comes in handy to back those changes out. And that's pretty much how it works. Just gotta have a mixer with a send and return, and you run the send to the input on the looper, and then coming out of the looper you can go to the return on the mixer, or you can give the looper its own